feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's
Welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank. I'm Dan Whedon, along with my co-host Mike Pickles. Our guest today has been John Martinka with Martinka Consulting.
We just had an intriguing and fun conversation with John, and as a reminder to listen to the entire podcast, please visit seattle.shrimptankpodcast.com. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, and we're always interested in your feedback, so please don't forget to rate us.
So, John, we had a really interesting conversation about buying and selling. And in your business, you help a lot of business owners or people who want to become business owners buy businesses. Can you talk a little bit about the strategy of how that works and what people should be aware of if they're going through that process?
Well, Dan, first of all, behind the scenes kind of stuff is they have to be motivated. They have to be wanting to do it, not just talk about it, because it does take a time and energy to get it done and get it done right. They have to realize it is so important to build a relationship with the seller because nobody sells their baby to somebody they don't like, and they have to always realize it is not going to go smooth. There are going to be speed bumps. One of my friends in the industry says every deal dies at least once, and it's a little bit of hyperbole, but there are always some frustrations. But once they hit the market, they have to realize a few things. One is they have to search the whole market, not just the things they find on the internet, but they have to find every company where the owner might want to sell. They have to analyze it and make sure that it's within their financial capabilities. And then it's a fine line between asking the right questions and asking too many questions. Don't get analysis paralysis. There can always be another question. At some point, you have to make a leap of faith. And as I say in my book, Buying a Business That Makes You Rich, you're going to make a leap of faith. You want to make it off a chair, not the roof.
And John, to build on that, there's always two parties in each of these transactions. You talked a little bit about what to look for as a buyer in this situation. How about from the seller's perspective? We talked a little bit during the show about originally 3 elements, and you've added a 4th element to a successful seller transaction. Can you talk about a little bit about each of those 4 items?
Be glad to. The first 3 in no particular order. Show that you can grow. An owner needs to not just say there's potential to the business, because every buyer out there, from individuals to private equity to other companies, has heard that story so many times when they see flat sales for the last 5 years. Show you can grow. Have solid financial systems, good management reports, accurate financial statements. And don't make the buyer and the bank dig to make sure that there's really profits. Get rid of dependencies. And we talked before about the dependency on the owner. It could be on key employees, certain customers, but really on the owner. The owner can't be the only one who can do all the little special things that make the business get the profit level it's getting, because it's hard to replace the owner if they're that involved with the day-to-day. And then the one I mentioned I've added in the last 2 years is show you can attract and retain great employees, good talent in this tight labor market.
So, John, it's never been easier to be an entrepreneur, just with technology in the 21st century. From simply an entrepreneurial standpoint, talk to people who might be looking at an entrepreneurial lifestyle. What some of the key parts of being able to be successful in that world is?
Well, the first 3 to come to mind are you've got to have guts. This is different than getting a paycheck. You've got to have the guts to want to do it and be the person that makes those decisions and pays the consequences if it's the wrong decision. You have to have drive. You have to be willing to work hard, whether you start a business or buy a business, or even if you get a franchise opportunity. You have to have the drive to make sure it's getting done and done right. And then you've got to be in control. You can't let others make the decisions when it's your business, your money, your life. And it's a balancing act between that dependency I talked about and being in control. At some point, you have to delegate that control, but you still have to be the one who makes things happen especially when you're starting out.
John, it's been a pleasure having you today. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, my phone number is 425-576-1814. My website is martinkaconsulting.com, and email is john@johnmartinka.com.
And as always, don't forget to visit seattle.shrimptankpodcast.com. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, and we'd love to hear from you. So please don't hesitate and forget to rate us.
So join us back in the tank in 2 weeks for our next show on June 13th, when our guest will be Kelly Kincaid with Jetlad Comic. Thanks for joining us today, because right now the hay is in the barn.